Hello and welcome to Prague. I can hear the bells doing 4 o'clock. So if it is 4 o'clock and you're in Central Time Zone, you are watching live. I cannot calculate the other times. And we promised you a live walk on the Prague riverside. So if Honza will pan that way, you will see the riverside behind me. As we walk, I will try to give you a little tour guide, because that's what we are. We are the honest guides in Prague. And was that a guy with skis? Since this video is not edited, I'm going to be reacting to things that I see along the way. We're starting on the railroad bridge with a small R, because it's not the name of the bridge. It's just a bridge for trains. They forgot to name it, believe it or not. And also, if you look that way, it's the other Prague castle that people quite often forget about. And I believe one day we can give you a tour of that. But now we're going to that castle, or at least in that direction, which is the Prague castle that I'm sure you know. So follow me. We're going to go down to the actual riverside. Wow, I mean, what are the odds? Ahoj. Mluvíš česky? This is insane. We're just live, and you're the first person we're ever seeing with our merch. This is absolutely insane. So, as you can see, we're actually live. We didn't plan this. Jak se jmenuješ?
Martin.
Ahoj Martin, já jsem Janek, radši si nepodáme ruku. Martin is wearing our hoodie, which almost is making me cry. Him also, right? My jdeme pokračovat live a to je skvělý, děkujeme moc. Tak jo, měj se moc hezky, ahoj. So,
Nobody will believe.
Nobody. Ahoj. Rychle my vysíláme, pojďme honem rychle. Jo, jasně. So nobody will believe us what just happened. I'll explain in a minute as we take a picture. Zvládneme to rychle? To je v pořádku. In the meantime, I will tell Honza to look that way because there's a cubist house. Jsme tam? Tak jo, ahoj. And we're back in. I'm really sorry. This may be a weird live from the very beginning. But I hope you have your coffee ready, or a tea, depending on what time it is, wherever you are, or maybe a beer if you're from the eastern part of the earth, because it's evening time, evening-ish. So I'll briefly explain why we were amazed with Honza, with the fact that we ran into Martin, which we don't know. I didn't know him, and he had our hoodie. And it was Honza's idea that we're gonna do honest merchandise clothing. And Honza said, I cannot wait for the moment when we will meet someone with our t-shirt or a hoodie. And I was thinking to myself, well, we didn't sell that many. I mean, a couple hundred around the world, but the odds of running into someone with that hoodie are slim to none. And there we are, live streaming, and the guy runs into us. So that's why I was in a shock, and I believe the guy was as well. I hope he will text us, or maybe now he's watching this live stream. If there's one sign that the spring is coming to Prague, that is much, much warmer. I'm actually very hot in this jacket I have. But the other sign that you can tell that it's getting warmer is this ice cream place that is here on the corner. Honza will show it to you in a minute. And once there is a line, it means the winter's over and spring is coming. Just yesterday, we were walking along the riverside in other part of Prague with Honza, and Honza pointed out this clock-looking building, and it's actually not a clock. It's a device that measures how high the water is. In all honesty, I don't know if 0 means no water. I doubt it. I think 0 is very low, and then 5 would be high. There is a clock actually above it. So maybe somebody who knows how this actually works can write it in the comments, but it does show the amount of water flowing in the river of Vltava. Also, quite often, I ask people if they know which direction the Vltava river is flowing, because it's not the biggest of rivers. And if you would have to take a guess, I wonder if you would know. So as you look at the river, would you guess which way it's going? For me, it's an easy answer. I tricked Honza there. Well, it's going that way. It's going north. But it's very stationary.
We have a question.
Yes, we have a question, and I'm here to answer it.
Does Prague have a shipyard?
Does Prague have a shipyard? Do I know answer to that one? Did you pick that one on purpose because you know I don't have an answer to that? I'm sure there are shipyards further out, probably not for some heavy cargo ships, because this does go to Elbe, the Labbe, which is the larger of rivers that eventually goes to Germany and eventually to Hamburg. So yes, you can get obviously from any river to the sea, but it's not like we have a big shipyard where big cargo ships would be going in and out of. Not such a big thing, and most of the ships or the boats you see on the river are tourist boats, or for passengers only. Speaking of, there's the cargo gallery ship. So there are no cargo ships, and Janek is just walking past the cargo ship, cargo gallery behind him.
I haven't seen so many people on the podcast.
We haven't seen, yes, Honza is just pointing out, we haven't seen this many people here for a very long time, and that's another sign that spring is in Prague. When people show up to the riverside, it's usually very cold here in the winter, but then once the temperature goes above 10 degrees, it fills up. Also, it's fair to say that do you want me to back up, walk backwards? No. Stratil jsem nit. I lost my knit. I wanted to say that when it's autumn, fall, and the temperature drops to 10 degrees, we're all like, oh, it's freezing, let's go home. But in the spring, the minute it goes above 10 degrees, it's like, oh, finally, summer's here, spring is here, we're fine, we're saved. If you are a subscriber and you know our show, Honest Guide, you know we do episodes every Sunday, and you probably figured out by now that we don't film them the day before or on that Sunday. Sometimes we pre-shoot them weeks, sometimes months before, and in this case it was even longer because we actually have an episode about the other side of the river prepared for you. We filmed it last end of summer, and it was still there on the side, and then lockdowns came in and winter came. So Honza just said, well, we're not going to publish it now, obviously. And in all honesty, I totally forgot about it. So it's sitting there in the drawer waiting for you to be released sooner or later, because the other part of the river is also very nice. It doesn't get that much sunshine as this part because the sun is setting over there. So right now you can see it's, well, you can't see, but I'm describing it to you. That's what I'm here for. You see it's dark there, so people prefer this side. But we do in the video explain why that part of the river is also very magical, I would say. Magical. I'm losing my breath here. Also, I just noticed that the cargo gallery ship is on the other side of the river and not on this one. So once again, absolutely dishonest guide with false information popping in.
There is a question.
I would love a question because I'm running out of things to say.
Does Prague have an honest guide?
Does Prague have an honest guide? Was that an actual question? I believe there are many honest guides. We are the ones who are using the name that we have registered. But there are many, obviously, guides around the city that specialize in different fields. We picked ours as in to be honest, in a way that we also show the ugly part of Prague. Most guides will not really do that, I would think or say. But we do also show you, or that's how we started it. We would show you this is the bad place, this is the good place. So that's why we called ourselves honest.
I'm reading the questions from the donations.
You're reading the questions from the donations, and we very much appreciate your donations. Thank you very much. It's interesting to see. I'm gonna quiet my voice because I'm always very nervous when people listen to me, even though there's probably hundreds of people listening to me online. But if somebody listens to me on the street, I get nervous. But I wanted to say that these ships or these boats, hi, hello, obstruct the view. And it's funny now that they can't be used. So normally you would be able to see the castle now if you would take a walk along the river, but there's this, I don't know what it is, placed in front of it, so you're unable to see it, which is a pity because just recently the riverside was reconstructed, which we made an episode about, but I want to show it to you more detailed maybe now. And it's the spaces on the riverside that we call kopky, but in English we call them lenses. Some people didn't like that we picked that name. Somebody said that it should be Prague Eyes. So you can come up with a name. You'll see them in about a minute.
What's the current situation in Prague?
The current situation, it's about 10 degrees. It's Friday evening. I have a dry February, so I'm not drinking. And in terms of COVID, I don't know, you can look it up, the current news. But everything's, not everything, but all the venues, as in coffee places, pubs, and so on, are closed, and you can only get a takeout, which you will see in a second here. That there's lines. Here, where you see swans, I will first talk about the swans, if I may. So where the swans are sitting now, or on the river, normally this place was actually meant for horses, and we've explained that on one of the episodes. This was a horse wash. So back in the days, I guess most people had horses in Prague, not a car. So if you wanted to wash your horse, you would simply walk it through the river. Nowadays, the horse would come out more dirty than clean. I don't know what the situation was back then, but now it's obviously a popular swan feeding spot. Also, it's fair to say that if you do want to feed swans, apparently you shouldn't feed them rolls and bread, but rather a lettuce or vegetables, I believe, and usually what it says on the signs. And there's always a dog fight between a swan and a dog. These are the lenses I was mentioning. Each space is rented to a different coffee, bar, gallery, you name it. And I think they're absolutely beautiful. I know the architect, Petr Janda, who's a really great guy. When they opened these spaces, he was walking around with his camera on his neck. He looked like a tourist, and he was just taking pictures of how people react to his new thing. It's like if me and Honza would watch you watching our video, like how you react to a joke or something. So I found that really interesting, how an architect is observing how people are using his newly built design. The glass itself is huge and was extremely heavy and difficult to put in. There was no graffiti on it yet. That's one of the things people were complaining about, or saying people are going to spray paint over it, but it's quite fine. The only thing that is getting worse is rustiness on the bottom of it. But I guess I should stop talking about it and we can keep on walking, right? Honza is smiling, which is good. I hope you are smiling too behind your computers.
Can Kirsten get a shout out? It's her birthday.
Kirsten, it's your birthday, I heard. Well, happy birthday to you. Kirsten, how old are you? I'm 33. If you're younger, better for you. In Czech, we say when you're 33 that it's your Christ years. So my friend from US wrote to me, watch out for any crosses. Another Prague lens over here. Can we show the exit through the portal? Normally, there always has to be an emergency exit sign. So they're on the wall, which you can't see right now. But there's a, can you see it? No? Sorry. Now you will be able to see it. Yep. So that's exit through the portal. It is nice to see people. I miss people. I miss life.
Do you think there will be some events in summer?
The question was if there will be events in the summer. I honestly don't know. The situation, I guess, as in any country is changing. I don't really follow situations in other countries, but here it changes a lot as a number of cases are hopping up and down. But we were discussing with Honza that even though it's illegal for foreigners to go into the country for tourism, we always run into people. So just today I ran into 2 tourists. And I said, and you live here? And they said, no, just visiting for 2 days. I'm like, oh, wow. And they're like, and they looked at me like, it's business. It's business. I'm like, yeah, okay. We're crossing under Palackého bridge. So just recently we did a run with Honza across all the bridges in Prague. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend you to watch it. Oops, sorry. And this is one of the oldest bridges, and it had statues on it that Honza actually found a picture of. And the reason the statues are gone, actually we can walk a little further so we can see the bridge better. The video is called, yeah, that's the leftover snow. So the video is called run across all the bridges over the river in Prague. And so Honza found this old picture of the statues actually on the bridge, and they were huge. There was 4 of them. And the reason they were gone, or are gone now, is because during the Second World War, the Americans accidentally dropped some bombs on Prague and the statues were damaged. From what I could find out online, or what I found out, is that the statues are now moved to the other castle I showed you in the very beginning of this live stream. So one day we should do a hunt for those statues and see what they look like now. But yes, that's this bridge. According to what I found, Albert Einstein was walking across it from where he lived to where he studied at the Charles University. I try to avoid the middle lane because it's a bike lane, and some of the people riding their bikes here are very aggressive. But the reason is not that they want to get somewhere fast, because if they would want to get somewhere fast, they would be up there on the road. They just want to ride into people. I sometimes like to do it too.
Cohen is asking how...
Cohen, how's it going, man? Cohen is one of our biggest supporters on Patreon, so Cohen, nice to at least say hi to you this way. I believe you're the very last person we actually met over a beer when it was still possible. Let me walk through this little crowd of people here real quickly. It's narrow here. It's the worst possible time not to drink. Seeing people having a beer is like, oh, please, I can't wait to get a pint. It was hard, obviously, to go for a beer because the pubs are closed since like 2005, it seems to me now. So here's another of the lenses, and let me just show you how the only part that's being damaged is the bottom. So, oh shit, it's getting rustier, see? And right now you see the reason, because it's dripping water on it from the top. Pardon. She got really upset. She was like, somebody just came to film here. Yet another boat obstructing the lovely view. But what can you do? We're approaching another bridge, one of the newest ones in Prague. It's from the 20s. It's called Jiráskův most, Jirásek's bridge. And there's something special we want to show you there. There's a couple of special things we want to show you there. And one of them is what we were doing during the spring quarantine. So once again, you've probably seen it on our video, but I do want to show you what it looks like now. It was our project that I have to go check and see every day. Honza, could help me out with a question or something, because once again I'm losing my breath here. Should I tell the story with the bombs in this bridge as well? So apparently every bridge in Prague was war ready or bombs ready. And in case of this bridge, the one we're approaching, the case is that when they build it, is that right? Am I saying it correct? When they build it, they built some sort of tubes in that you could load with explosives, so you could demolish the bridge on purpose. So in the video, I described it as a self-destruct button. But when the Germans found out during the war, they said, I'm imagining this like, what's this tube for? Oh, it's just a tube. No, it's a self-destruct tube. We see right through you. And they put concrete into the tube so they couldn't destruct the bridge. I mean, isn't there other ways how to destruct a bridge? But that's the story. There's other tubes in here. But it's a big, massive concrete bridge from under which there's a beautiful view of the castle. Your last chance to see it down from the riverside here. And here's the part where we're going to go up, and away. So we've already wished you a happy birthday. I'm sure there has to be more people having birthday right now, because if there's more than 365 people watching, the odds are there's more of you. Pardon. we can get a glimpse of the buildings on the riverside, and you can see that they are pretty. And one of the reasons for that is because they're the most visible ones in the city. So if you are building a house on the riverside, you know it's going to be seen by a lot of people, so you want it to look nice. That's why the buildings on the riverside look what they look like. And up we go. I can smell weed, man. It's always, I like the smell. We got a question about merch.
When's the next edition?
Well, if you want merch, you got to find us and tear it off us. I don't know if we're gonna do, I mean, I hope we're gonna do another edition of our merch, hopefully soon, so stay tuned. But we also are planning something special merch stuff.
Na blogu máme možnost přihlásit se.
If you want to stay updated on this, you can go to honest.blog, which is our awesome website, www.honest.blog, where you can get more info, where you can subscribe to information as they come out. Green light means we can cross. It's like, wow, I'm just watching this dude online. He's a guide, and he just told me that I can cross on a green light. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've arrived to one of my favorite spots in Prague, which is our lovely Honest grass. It's a grass we seeded here during the pandemic in April. And the reason we did that is because a lot of people step on it to take a picture with the dancing house, which is behind me. And I've noticed how the grass slowly disappeared over the years. The city wasn't taking care of it. Nobody really cared about it. And buses were bringing tourists in that were stepping on the grass. Eventually people were shortening their way across the grass. So we planted it here. As I'm looking at it, we didn't really do a good job. I mean, it's okay, but it needs some retouches. Honza, I guess you agree, and the viewers as well. If you look from an angle, it looks good, but the minute you look from above, it's starting to lose its shine. So our plan in the spring is, once again, to come here with some shovels and buy grass seeds and seed it again to make it look nicer. Because I believe green is nicer than brown. We called it illegal, and to this day I don't know if it was legal or not. Obviously nobody was pressing any charges against us. Cops weren't going after us, so it's still here. And looking the other way, and I believe you can partially see it from this angle, is that water tower there. Is that, I believe it's a water, of course it's a water tower. Funny enough, not funny. There was a secret police station at the very top because they were spying on our previous president that used to live in a building here on the riverside. But what is interesting about the tower is when I asked my friend who works for the city, I said, do we have any leaning towers in Prague? And he said, this one leans the most. It's the most leaning tower in Prague. And I believe you can partially see that it's leaning to the right. I mean, it's also partially standing on water. So you got the honest grass, you got the dancing building, you got the leaning tower of Prague. I mean, what more can you wish for? You got it all right here. If you're watching from a state where it's warm and never rains or snow, I envy you. But on the other hand, I do like seasons. I like when it changes. Honza, what do you prefer? Seasons? Because you always have something to look for. I remember in September I was like, I'm looking forward to winter, you know. It's gonna be cold and rain. Now it's like, I really can't wait for the summer to get back in. We're gonna walk onto this island because I believe not too many people actually go there. We'll wait for the truck. Ambulance, not a truck. It's a busy day. Seeing a tram reminds me of one of the latest episodes where we did trams versus people and cars. where we got footage from all the Prague tram drivers, as they have usually dash cam that shows how they, you know, interact with. Let's break some laws on Ziku, otherwise we would get in trouble. We would have to cross there and there. And actually it's legal to cross here. So the episode, once again, about trams is on our channel. You want to go? All right. But what I wanted to say also about the episode of trams is that we do have more footage that we didn't show in the video. So we are thinking of doing another episode with trams. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. See an open gate? Walk right in. See a woman kicking the dog? Just ignore it. So most people would stop at this point because you would think that you're going to a restaurant or somewhere, but it is walkable through. Here to my left, or to my right, your left is the tower that I've mentioned, so you can see that it is really on the water. Mike is wrong. Very wrong. Not much I can do about it. Praska? No. And this island has many playgrounds, kids' playgrounds. Unfortunately, this one is for kindergarten only, which is a pity because it's a big chunk of the island, pretty much permanently closed. So if this was opened, that would be crowded. And you'll see in a minute that as we walk through the island and through the mud, Honza picked the correct shoes for this walk. I did not. So as I've mentioned, another huge kids playground filled with kids. So it's kind of a pity that the other one is not opened and is only for a kindergarten, because, you know, I mean, I understand it can be opened only for the kindergarten in certain hours, but rest of the time it can be open for everyone. And it's one of the playgrounds with the cool view of the castle. In the summer, you will not be able to see that, obviously, because the trees will be covered with leaves. And you can also get a nice glimpse of the buildings with the fancy facades. You want to go that way or that way? You viewers can pick. Or with the view of the castle. Hansik's struggling with some pushing buttons. Are we good? All right, let's go. The building we're gonna walk by is called Žofín. What's the name of the island? Slovanský ostrov, right? Slavs Island. Slavs. You always got to wear Adidas to train and exercise here. But everybody refers to it as Žofín because that's the name of the building that's over there. Used usually for balls and concerts and events like those. But also for the City Council of Prague 1. Whenever they have a meeting and they discuss things, they always do it here at the Žofín. And how can you tell that they have a meeting there? The parking lot is filled with cars. Even though all of them live in Prague 1, they always come and park their cars on the island. And another building that you will be able to admire very shortly is the National Theater. Hansiku, do not trip over that, over that chain, please. You can still see that building we walked through behind me. That's the Manes Gallery. And the latest exhibition that was there, it was sort of a big deal, was Banksy's exhibition. And you probably know that Banksy doesn't show his work much, and definitely he does not charge people to see it. So when I saw that there's a Banksy exhibition and that the tickets cost like 20 euros, I was, that's interesting. And Banksy I looked it up, and it was not authorized by him nor by anyone from his team. So it was just somebody who downloaded his pictures, printed them out, and then charged people to see it. Of course, the people who organized the exhibition said, well, he's also violating all the rules, so are we, but it still seemed kind of weird to me. There are still leftovers of these tapes around the city. The reason for them now is that there was ice and snow falling from the roofs, and boy was it dangerous. We were filming with Honza 2 days ago, and I think we were lucky we didn't get hit, because chunks of ice were falling in the middle of the road. Ironically, it actually was more safe to walk next to the building very close, because the ice always fell in the middle of the street. I believe nobody got hurt yesterday or the day before, so we're fine. And the snow, as you can see, is almost gone, only weird leftovers. If you've ever been to Prague and you wanted to do one of those paddle boats or rowing boats, this was the spot. You would always come in, and there are 3 different companies who rent boats for around 10 euros an hour. I don't know if there's any difference among them. I believe they all have the same price and same service. Except that most of them now switched to the paddle boats, because I guess people don't like to row. So those happen right here. Can you see the orange tram in the back? You can't. Too bad. Mazačka. It's a tram that oils the tracks so they don't squeak or squeal. So my point was that if people come to this island, ahoj, určitě rychle, my zrovna natáčíme. Honzik will show you buildings.
Dík moc. Děkuju moc.
Super, ahoj. Ahoy. Can I switch to Czech now? Just, why not, right? We do have a second channel that is only entirely in Czech, where I speak Czech. We quite often show the same stuff. It's called Dudes from Prague. And the most recent live stream we did was with my friend Adam, who's an architect. You might have seen him or remember him from one of our episodes. It looks like he's not my friend, but he is. What I wanted to say, that I was walking with him here before the live stream we did, and he pointed out something to me here that I've never noticed. Let's see if Honza would know. I doubt he would. Nothing unusual, right? You're looking at 2 buildings.
One very old,
one very old, one very new. And you would think, by the way, the new building has been reconstructed in a good way. We're good? I'm speaking. Can you guys hear us? Cože? Nobody? Good? We're good, all right. Where was I? Building. The point is that the new building is actually shorter than the old building. And under normal circumstances, if you build a new house on the street, you always try to build it as high as possible. So not in this case, and that's the knowledge acquired from my friend architect, Adam. And you can also see here, these 2 buildings next to each other. These 2 buildings. The one on the left is the National Theatre, and the one on the right is also a National Theatre. The difference in age, I guess, is obvious, but the one on the right, or in the middle now, is called the New Scene of the National Theatre. Dobrý den. We got it? All right, let's move on. At this point, Honza would just cut it in the editing room, but now we gotta keep on going live. I must say that it's nicer to walk slowly across and around the bridges rather than running. We're approaching the Mostlegi Legion Bridge. Once we asked our Patreons if they prefer to use the Czech names or the English names of sites and streets and bridges, and I believe most of them voted for Czech names. So I'm gonna refer to the Bridge of Legions as Mostlegi. You can see the two towers on the bridge. They're on each side, on this side and on the other one as well. And the reason they're there is because, believe it or not, back in the days, it was a toll bridge. So to cross it, you would have to pay a certain amount. How much? I don't know. I never looked it up. It probably wouldn't be transferable to euros anyhow. But that's the story of the bridge. And we have a green light, so we can gently cross. Oops. We are walking past another island that you can see behind me. Honza will show it to you now. The one with all the trees, and that's the Střelecký ostrov, Shooter's Island. There is a tennis court on it that you can rent for around 10 euros an hour. There's also a restaurant, but the rest of the island is left for a park. Once again, we had a discussion with my friend architect, and he said that most of the tips of the islands are inaccessible for people. In this case, you can go to the very tip of the island and see the bridge and the castle, and you're surrounded by water. It's one of the Prague beaches, almost. Yes.
Question is, what are the flags?
Which flags?
Like over the bridge?
Oh, you may be referring to the little rotating things. I don't know.
Probably.
But there are little spinning things. I know everything, man, almost. So the little spinning things, according to ornithologist, is the guy studying birds. So I did an interview with one, and he said it's for the swans, so they don't hit the tram rails, the tram cables that are above the bridge. I asked him if they work, and he said they don't. They still hit the cables, the swans. So once in a while, you'll see a swan that hit the cable and lands on the bridge, and usually is later then surrounded by cops, and the cops are dealing with it. You want to keep on going? All right. Just recently, the area you see here behind me was turned into a pedestrian zone. The biggest fights you can possibly imagine. Always people driving cars want to drive cars there, people riding bikes want to ride bikes, and pedestrians want to walk there. Well, at the end, we're all people, and we got to share the space. So right now, there's space for cars, pedestrians, cyclists, and also tables where you can sit in front of one of the two coffee places that is here. And as I've mentioned, because it's warm, there are now people sitting outside. We did mention this place on one of the episodes. It's a cool breakfast / coffee place that I like to go to have breakfast. When we said that we're going to take you on a walk through the riverside, where in our heads we're thinking a sidewalk or road, something man-made. But if you want to see what the riverside looked like in Prague before people came to Prague, it looked like this. It was an actual just ground, and yeah. Now Honzik's pointing to something man-made, but where the trees are growing, that's what that was the original shape of the shore. Yeah, I don't know if you would use the word shore for a river. And a couple times we walked around here to see how ugly it actually is down here. There is a pub normally open in the summer, but other than that, I think that these are the spaces that should be open to public. You just saw it further out where we started, that once you open something to people, they do go there when they have, nice view, nice weather, place to sit, place to walk. And now look at this, that there's nothing there. Dojdeme až na výhled? Dobrý den. I did this walk before I went to meet Honza. I walked around here. And I remembered there's always this fight among tour guides that they're saying that there are good tour guides with licenses that know what they're talking about, and then there are bad tour guides that don't know what they're talking about.
They have YouTube channels?
Some of them have YouTube channels, man, like me and you. So I asked them, what are the bad things, or what are the things that are not true they tell to tourists, that are just made up things? And one of the example I got is about this fountain here that is behind Honza. And I said, what's the myth there? What's the thing that tour guides say? Well, they say that it's not a fountain, but it's a tower of a church that is buried in the ground. And I thought about it, and I said, well, if somebody would believe that, I mean, let them have it. And I thought to myself, should I say it in this video? And I think I should. So you can cut this part out and call me a crazy guy. Hello and welcome to Prague. What you see behind me is not a fountain, but is actually a top tower of a church that is buried in the ground. Because originally Prague level was much lower, so that's why you can only see the top of the church tower now. Now cut out, you can use that and make me look like an idiot. If this was Twitch, somebody would do that. That's the difference between a YouTube live stream and a Twitch. If you are a Patreon of ours, you know that we do something called mini guides. Well, most likely you're not a Patreon, so I'll briefly tell you what we do there. We do mini guides, which are tiny little, not tiny little, but shorter versions of guides we do. And we always tell you little secrets, little hidden stuff, things you wouldn't know. And we're actually gonna continue this live stream for our Patreons only. So once this is over, if you're a Patreon and you're watching, we're gonna jump right next to the other stream. The reason I mention this is because I always, when I see these lines on the road, it always reminds me of one of the first mini guides where we explained what those are for. So if you don't know, you can watch it in the mini guide. If you do know, do not share the secret. And if you don't know, come here when the floods are happening. You'll see what they're used for. Another thing I thought of when I was standing here, looking at the castle, which according to some is the largest castle complex in the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. I was looking at the right part of it, the right building with the tower in the background, which is the Lobkowitz Palace. And William Lobkowitz is our friend, and we did a live tour through the palace. And I wondered if he stands here, if he goes on a walk through Prague, if he's looking that way, if he's thinking like, I have a cool house. Because when I look somewhere from Prague at my house, and I see that tiny little dot in the distance, I'm like, oh, I have a cool house with binoculars and a zoom. But he does really have a cool house. And I hope we can do more live streams with him eventually. Good, we survived. Can I answer maybe a question, and then I will slowly fade out?
Sure.
Sure. So if there's anything regarding the riverside and the path that we just walked, I'll be more than happy to answer it if I will know the answer. And we will try to keep doing these live streams on Fridays, so you can subscribe, so you will get notified when they happen. And we will always try to come up with a theme or topic that will have something in common. Right now we did this one to sort of lure you in for Prague. Now Honza is looking at the phone like
How many beavers are in the river?
Beavers. Well, the question was how many beavers are in the river? I don't think there are any. There's a lot of these ducks. If you look right now, there's about 1 million of them in a row now. All the ducks are swimming in the water. But there are nutrias. And they look like beavers, but they're nutrias, and you can always see them there on that little beachy thing. So,
Many.
how many? Jana, give me a number. How many beavers are there? There's 475.
Nice.
And there's 1,756 ducks. Ahoy.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Favorite season is right now because the spring is coming, and very much looking forward to that when I will be able to take off my jacket, take off my hoodie with strdelník, and enjoy the spring and summer weather.
Do you swim in the river at summer?
We do not swim in the river. I do not, but I know people do, and I think it would be great, and maybe we can try it sometimes because somebody pointed it out just recently that it is actually clean. I quite often brag about how dirty it is, and somebody corrected me and it said, don't worry, it is clean, especially up the stream a bit.
Looking for this.
He's looking for a question. We have a new video prepared for you, 2 new videos. Honza edited one, I edited the other one. The first one is 5 new things we learned about Prague. So I believe that's coming out this Sunday, just 2 days from now. And the other one was in my editing room, which is quite rare. And it's Police in Action. There's a Czech show called The Cops in Action. And they sort of did a parody on our show. So now we're going to do a parody on their show. A little beef with the mainstream TV we have here.
When was Riverside Promenade built?
When was the Riverside Promenade built is definitely a question that I should have prepared my answer for. I wish my friend Adam was here. My guess would be 20s, 1920s, but I promise next time I will be better prepared. But that's my very rough estimate. And I'm sorry, I don't know the correct answer.
What is your favorite food?
The question is about my favorite food. I honestly don't know. Nothing comes up to my mind right now. Bún chả, the Vietnamese dish that I just had today. We love that with Honza. One is great just down the street here.
How about Czech food?
And regarding Czech food, I love dumplings and sauce because it's quite rare. I don't have it every week or every month. I have it once in a very, very long time and in a while. So I do like to get knedlíky, dumplings, and vomáčka and sauce.
How do I become a Patreon?
How do you become a Patreon is a question? Well, you can go to patreon.com/honestguide. You can pick one of the tiers, and we will try to, based on which tier you get, you not only support us, which we're extremely thankful for, thank you, it's just the 2 of us doing this, and you will get Czech lessons, me teaching you Czech, you'll get the mini guides, we do live streams only for Patreons, which will happen right now. And if you become the golden tier Patreon, please do not even consider that. That reminds me of we should delete it. There's an option that you can stay at my house and that I will pick you up at the airport. Don't. Unless you're a CEO of a really big company. But at that point, you'd be like, I don't want to crash on a couch at Janek's house. I can just rent an apartment in 4 Seasons.
I can rent his house.
I can buy his whole house.
How does your job look like during COVID? How often do you go to the office? How does it look generally in Prague?
The question is regarding our job, how often we go to the office, and what does our jobs look like? Well, our job is whenever we film and Honza edits and we prepare new stuff, we do not go to office. We usually edit at our houses. I miss going to coffee places because that was usually the place or spot where I was editing videos. And we just try to run around the city and film as much videos as possible because that's the only way how we can live and survive and entertain ourselves and hopefully entertain you.
Which bridge is nicest after Charles Bridge?
Which bridge is the nicest after Charles Bridge is an easy one. I don't think the Charles is the nicest. I very much like the Trojský most, Troy Bridge, which is the very first one we ran across in our running video. So if you want to see what it looks like, check out that video. It's on our channel, running across all the bridges. And you will see all the bridges there, so you can see which ones I like the most. And the second one I like the most is the shortest one, because the run across it was the shortest and least painful, which is only 169 meters long.
What is the oldest building in Prague?
What is the oldest building in Prague is a great question. And once again, is this like a quiz for me? It must be the Rotunda on Vyšehrad, no? Must be like 1100s or something like that. That's a really good idea for a video. Me and Honza would do questions for one another without preparation, and we would ask each other these encyclopedic questions. Let's see if we know them or not. When was Prague founded, Honza?
Long time
A
ago.
long time ago. That's a correct answer. We should do a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Honest Guide edition.
Which scam were you most pleased to expose?
Which scam were we most pleased to expose? Oh boy, I don't know. Oh yes, I do know. My friend got scammed online when somebody sold him fake AirPods, and he lost 5,000 crowns, 200 euros, and he's a kid. He's very young, or he's 18 years old, and he was very, very sad that he lost the money, and I found the scammer and I got the money back for him. So I was very pleased that he wasn't sad. Usually when you have the person you can help and you see the person, that pleases you the most. Or when we were helping actual people in the exchange office, we were happy that we could expose them and help the people. Honza's nodding like, all right.
What is the tallest building?
What is the tallest building in Prague? It's an easy one, I know that, but is it a building? No. Well, the tallest tower is the Žižkov TV tower. I have no idea what's it in meters, no clue. It's gonna be 200 maybe, probably. And the tallest building is, when I was a kid, it was called Rozhlas, the radio building, and now it's called the City Tower, something like that, and it's just shy over 100 meters, I believe. And the tallest building in Czech Republic is the AZ Tower, which is 111 meters tall, and it is in Brno, believe it or not. It's standing in the middle of a field, no buildings around it, and there it is, like a middle finger pointing at you. And that tower is taller than the Eiffel Tower if you include the hill, but I've said this one a zillion times. I also wrote it in the book, and if you want me to rant about Prague a bit more, we were filming something on the Petřín Lookout Tower, and there was not a guide, but a person at the top taking care of the tower, and I said, you know that it's taller than he said, this is exactly same height as the Eiffel Tower above sea level we're in right now. And I said, not true, we're higher. He goes, no, I'm right. I'm like, nah, not really. I wrote it in a book, and when you write something in a book, you want to double check it. So I looked it up, I searched for it once again, I did this whole research thing, and I proved myself that I was right. So I told him, and he looked at me, he's like, how could you figure that out so fast? I'm like, well, Google, level, altitude, tall, blah, blah, blah.
Last two questions.
Last two questions?
Where would you take your loved one out for a date in Prague?
Where would I take my loved one out for a date in Prague? I would definitely take her or him for a walk pretty much anywhere. Depends if you want to walk in the city, then I would do the usual, maybe the riverside there on a less busy day. But if you want to go into the nature, riverside is nice. The one we just did. You can sit, have a coffee, beer. What, you think I'm going to share my secret spots with you? You're crazy. There's two idiots doing it online for a couple of years. And the last question we have comes from Oregon, USA. No? Alaska, USA.
As a guy who exposes scams, have you had any threats or sorts?
There's a question regarding threats, if we had any, because of exposing scams. I believe we did, but I also believe we got used to them so much that we just ignore them at this point, and there were no an actual threats. It's usually just, just recently we were filming with Honza and a guy that we exposed that was doing some naughty business. He walked by and he did like, oh, wow, all right. So we said hello and he walked away, which only proves that we're doing our job well, as we both figured with Honza. Hey guys, thank you so much. If you've stayed till this point, this was the Honest Guide Live Friday tour. We've walked along the riverside. If you just joined, sorry, you gotta hit refresh and watch the video from beginning. New episode is coming on Sunday. You can subscribe. You can become a Patreon on patreon.com/honestguide, where we are going to continue with this live stream before I catch my breath. So if there's Patreons watching, give me 4 minutes and we'll be there and we'll see you. Thank you so much for watching. And Honza, thank you for doing this. Put the camera on you and come.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Ciao.